Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Jonathan Torres-Herrera, and you are watching the JTH show, or Jonathan Torres-Herrera show. I don't know which one sounds better. Doesn't matter. You're watching me. Today, we are going to go ahead and talk about a topic that is kind of bothering me, and it all happened over a story that I have for you guys that occurred on Saturday. But first, roll the intro. All right. Okay. So I want to talk about tipping or gratuity. I guess they're the same thing. And it's a topic that has been on my head here for a few days, and that is out of one main reason. So I went out on Saturday, and upon getting my check, I noticed towards the bottom that there was a not 15, not 20, but a 25% gratuity fee, I suppose, added to the bill. It came out to like $35 just for the gratuity. Okay. Yes, it was a party of 8. So, it was a big party. It wasn't, it wasn't just my family. No, this was not a 5-star restaurant. And quick side note, I'm looking this way because I have a whole bunch of notes over here. So it wasn't a 5-star restaurant. It was not in an upscale or fancy area like La Jolla or downtown for that matter. And I'm talking about areas of San Diego, if anybody's watching from outside San Diego or not familiar with San Diego, California. It was for breakfast, by the way, and it was for a place or a Mexican restaurant in Bonita, California. I didn't get necessarily a bad service, right? It wasn't a phenomenal 25% or about $35 worth of service. I'm sorry, it wasn't. Now, I did jump something here, and that is that I want to pretend this entire video with the fact that I have been in the service industry, not just once, right? I've been, first of all, directly in the restaurant industry. I worked as a busboy. I worked as a food prep. I worked as a dishwasher. And I worked as, I can't say a server because I wasn't old enough at the time to serve alcohol. And the restaurant where I used to work at, which, man, ironically was also in Bonita, served alcohol. But I think I was like a server's assistant or something. I think that's what they called me. Anyways, so I've been in the position where, I know what it is to have to pick up after people, right? In the restaurant business. So I want to make sure I mention that. Now, not to mention, I've been in other businesses where there were also, in the service industry, as like, Uber. I've done Uber, by the way, not just road Uber, but I've actually driven for Uber, driven for Lyft, and even, driven and dropped off packages for Amazon, which I also consider service industry, right? Not, very tip heavy like a restaurant would be, but, people tip me and all those, by the way, all those 3 jobs I had. But anyways, I want to make sure that I say that so that what I'm about to go into here doesn't come off so jerky, because I know, oh man, I can already hear some of my buddies that are either currently in the, restaurant business or have been disagree with me. And not to mention, I did a little bit of research on this, and is this topic divided? So, but I don't care. I want to jump into it because I'm definitely on one side, and you'll find out quickly which one I am on. So the other reason is, like I mentioned before, Um, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I was just practicing earlier. Um, but I came across a video in my YouTube recommendation, and I don't know if it's because I've been talking to my wife about tipping, and uh, maybe it is true that Alexa and my cell phone are listening to me, like all these conspiracy theories say. Just joking. Um, but anyways, they came up on the recommendation. Maybe it's fate, right? Maybe. Um, and it was for a channel called Real Men, Real Style. And the host talks about or gives tipping advice, right? And one thing that just set me off was the fact that he goes along the video giving some advice. And to be fair, some of it was pretty decent. It was a lot of common sense stuff. But man, he said something that completely turned me off. And that is, he gave this example, okay? He said that if you feel like having steak, by the way, you have $20 in your pocket, you feel like having steak, and you go to a restaurant and the steak is $19.99, right? $19.99 with tax or something like that included. You can't afford it. You can't afford steak. Yeah. He outright said, you can't afford it. You should rather eat the burger that's maybe half the price, and then you can afford to leave a nice tip, as you should. He goes on to ramble about something like, it's just the culture, it's just what it should be, which completely, I was with him up until that point because, and I'm sure you can tell by now that I'm not on the side of automatic tipping. I'm not. I'm not on that side of automatic tipping, or for that matter, to make Patreons that go out to restaurants or are using any service that suggests tip to feel like they have to tip. I'm not. I'm not in the service. I'm sorry. I'm not in the group or team that suggests that. My wife just started calling me. So anywho, so let's move on real quick. So establishments that I have another tip or bullet point here. Establishments that usually request a tip, in my opinion, are okay, right? Here's a suggestion. In fact, I went out to Olive Garden, like a month or two ago, and now you pay at the table with a fancy little computer thing majig. I was like, okay, oh, great, right? I'm gonna answer this. I'm gonna pause the video. By the way, she's calling me like for the fourth time. Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. What's up?
Yes.
You
Nothing's up.
you
I'm
called me.
home.
You're home?
I know. I'm home. Yeah.
Are you in the house?
Yes.
Oh,
Now I am.
well, that's great that you called me because you are live on air. I am talking about tipping,
What?
gratuities and tipping, or tipping and gratuities. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
anyways, I am having a very passionate discussion with the camera because I'm not live. About how much I'm not against it, but how much I am against the automatic tipping or gratuity that a lot of restaurants charge when you have like a large party of 8, party of 9, party of 10, or whatever. Or a lot of them have like a hard anything above 5 people, boom. And I was sharing here with the video that or the audience that are not here right now, that I was upset that when we went out for breakfast on Saturday, there was a $25 gratuity amount for
Mm-hmm.
that, like was total for like $35. Now the service
Mm-hmm.
wasn't bad, it wasn't horrible, right? You were there,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't like $35 worth of like, wow, here's essentially, if it was in cash, because a lot of people feel very differently about numbers when it's in cash. Here's a 20, here's a 10, and then a 5 on top of that. It was like $35 or in some change. I would not have left that on the table because it wasn't a service like you know, or am I wrong? Do you think it was a $35 worth service as far as tipping?
Um. No, but I think it's not even about how I mean how much the service was worth. I think it's more like we should be the ones to make that decision. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's my whole thing, right? And on top of that, I came across, I was also making jokes earlier that maybe Alexa or my phone is listening to me because for some reason, my phone recommended, or YouTube recommended, a video from a channel that essentially the host says that he literally gives an example in the video that says that if you have $20 in your pocket and you want to have steak, and you go out to a restaurant and the steak is $19.99 with hypothetically tax included or something like that, that you can't afford steak. Even though mathematically you have $20 in your pocket, but you can't afford steak because you won't be able to leave a tip. So he literally says in the video that maybe you should eat a burger that's half the price, and now you can afford to leave a tip. Which then when I was watching the videos, I got fucking all heated to myself because to me, that's right there. It's bullshit. I mean, that's just my opinion. Do you think if you go out to a restaurant, you should leave a tip I guess not no matter what, because I guess if you get shitty service, you shouldn't. But let's just say you get good service. Not great, not phenomenal, just good service. Do you think that you should leave a tip? Every time?
I think you should have the right to choose.
But should you leave a tip every time, though?
Would I leave a tip every time?
Mm-hmm.
Only if I got good service. Like if I had shitty service, I wouldn't tip.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's my point, though. Okay, so that's another thing that I was going to say in the video is, if you have good service, that should be something that you just get. That should be something that is automatic. Sure, you can hang up. If everybody's watching me right now, I mean, nobody's watching, but people are going to be watching. They're like, what the fuck's happening? My wife just came in from talking to me, so she clicked on me. Not the first time. So if you get good service, isn't that imposed, right? Like if you get, let's just say, you walk into a restaurant and you get good service. Isn't that something that's just supposed to happen, right? Because, I mean, you just said only if I get good service, I'll tip. I would say the appropriate answer, and maybe you were not thinking about it in this way, but you tip when it's great and above service, right? Great includes, which obviously if you get phenomenal, fantastic, whatever word you want to choose that's above good. Correct, right? But if you go to a restaurant, if you go to a taco shop, this one really gets me. It really gets me. Anybody that's walked into the common taco shop, not like a 5-star in a great area taco shop, the common taco shop, hell, the one that's down the street. You walk in, right? And what happens is you'll get up to the counter when it's finally your turn, and they'll tell you, "Hi, welcome to blah 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 taco shop," right? And you're like, okay. And if you're a usual like me, you'll go for the carne asada fries, right? Yeah. Oh, I want carne asada fries. Is that it? Anything else? I love those, And yes, I'm doing an accent because that's the taco shop down my street. Yeah, no horchata. Okay, horchata. Anything else? Yes, I'm weird, so I add lettuce. Here's a tip, by the way, guys. Lettuce, sour cream, which sometimes doesn't have because usually only have guacamole and cheese. Lettuce, sour cream, and pico de gallo in my case, or if I'm sharing with my wife and my kids, I don't like onions, so just tomato. Bling, 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 right? The machine goes. Anything else? Which, by the way, it's not the only taco shop that does that to me. Sergio's Taco Shop, if you're seeing this, screw you. I'm Bonita. Your service fucking sucks. Like that. I just said it, and I'm tagging your ass. You'll walk up to the counter, or you'll go in the drive-thru, and I can't even point out one person. It's like a thing there. I've been trying to avoid that place like a plague, but sometimes it's one of the ones that are open really late for some reason, or I'm just being fucking lazy. And the food is actually not that bad. I actually like their fries, but their service is just fudge. Right? You walk up, or in my case, I'll drive through. Welcome to Taco Shop. I wanna go ahead and take kind of fries like I just explained. Anything else? You don't even get okay anymore. Like, okay, anything else? No. Anything else? Just dry. But out, you know what they have inside and at the little window? One of those nice plastic, they're usually plastic containers, that they probably have something else in there, but now they use it for just tips. And the most artistic employee and you can tell the most artistic person in the restaurant just like drew a nice little cartoon thing that says tip or tips. And they always have like $1 in there, a couple cents, just to get you going, to get you motivated. Maybe of saying, "Oh, someone else tip. I'm gonna leave, $2 too." But I'm not gonna leave a fucking tip on anything else. Okay, anything else? I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's mediocre service at best. Yes, we can argue, well, don't fucking go there anymore, right? I said, but the food is good, right? In some places, you go because the food is good, right? Or you just, if you're a fat boy like me, you're just like, hey, I really like fucking cut salad rice. And you're open right now and everyone else is closed. But you don't leave a tip, right? Right? Okay, good. Same thing with the restaurant. Just because you're at a restaurant, in my opinion, you're like, oh, well, yeah, but there they serve your food. They pick up your plates. Hold on. Hold the brakes, right? Hold. In my opinion, restaurants, and I've spoken to people, and people that know me, including my wife, know that I want to open one day like a taco shop or a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant or a taco shop for that matter. And people that I've spoken to that own, not like want to own like me and don't know shit about the restaurant business, but actually actually own, have shared, hey, tips that, again, are kind of common sense, but they're tips nonetheless. And they're like, hey, when you price your food, you have to price it to a couple factors. Obviously, food costs, right? Like, hey, how much is it at the raw material? Like tomatoes by dozens and all these other ingredients, right? Location, so that you wouldn't price something when you can, at, example, the canasta of rice idea at $13, like here in my beautiful city, versus somewhere up much more high scale where you're gonna present it. Also, by the way, you charge for presentation. Some guy told me that once. You charge for presentation, JT. And you might be able to sell canasta fries in like La Jolla of California, by the way. For, again, people not knowing where I'm referencing, La Jolla, California. You might charge them $20 for the same plate you charge where I live for like $13, right? So you start creating when you open a restaurant, and you add the cost of the operations, which is usually the employee, not the products. Products aside, right, or materials or whatever, the cost of the employee, right? Hey, it's costing me to leave 2 employees, the cook and the person doing a cashier, whatever, $800 a week, whatever they get paid, right? California, maybe even $1,000 between 2 employees easily. Boom. So I have to sell this much product, and this is how much I have to price it at to break even, and then obviously to make a profit. So restaurants do the same, not just taco shops, right? That's why sometimes you go to like a steakhouse and you're like, steak is like $25. The steak is not really the price itself. Like, it's also the cost, right, of like the idea of a restaurant. So, and by the way, also to turn a profit. So my point is, the restaurant is responsible to pay for the cost of the employee. Charge me more. Pay them a good wage. If the argument of a restaurant is like, well, they have to make a wage. Well, fucking pay them the wage. You hire them, right? And I will, if I choose to still go to your restaurant after you say, all right, from now on, no more tips. We're going to do it with that whole tip thing. But now a steak, instead of being $15, $20, $25, depending on where you're going, we're going to automatically, price the steak at, up the price by $10. 25, now it's 35 per steak. If I can fucking afford $35 for a steak, knowing that now it includes, then I'm gonna go that, right? But with like this fucking guy said, oh well, if you have $20 and the steak costs you $19.99, you can't afford a fucking steak. No, you can't afford fucking steak. I can afford math, homie. $20 minus $19.99 is a penny. I can afford it, right? So whoever's going to watch this video might say the opposite. It might be like, oh, you're a fucking jackass for not considering the tip. I will consider a tip when its service is more than good. Good is, by the way, and everybody, and that's going to be another fucking video I'm going to do. You're an employee. You should provide good fucking service. Whether you're providing a service to a Joe Schmo or you work in B2B, which is business to business. For those of you guys that don't know that acronym. Good is just to be the staple of what you do as an employee. Now, if you want to get rewarded, like a raise or a tip or gratuity, you give great or phenomenal service, right? I shared earlier, I used to drive for Uber and Lyft and Amazon, and I got tips. But guess what? I was the guy where I'm not, by the way, this is not mandated. I was the guy that bought waters at Costco, the little ones, and had waters in all my doors because I have a Ford as a 7-seater, so they have like multiple little, bottle thing holders. I had waters in every fucking hole. Every ride I stopped for 2 minutes and threw them away if people left them open, which happened all the time, especially if you have fucking kids. I hated that, but I did it anyways. Well, because I knew it pushed someone to give me a tip. I didn't require it. It wasn't like, hey, you can open that water? That's $1. Put it back. No, right? I was like, it's a gamble. It's a gamble. You give great service and hope that you'll get a tip. But if you are anything like this freaking other person, by the way, that I saw online on Facebook, she put a thing, and I think I told you that yesterday. For those of you guys listening, there is a person on Facebook that like screenshot somebody that in Mexico, because it was in pesos, because if the fucking dinner here in the US was $4,000, goddamn, where are you eating? It was a check that someone had paid and signed for 4,000 pesos, and somebody had left like, I think it was like 100 or 80. I don't remember the number exactly, but peso tip, which is, I don't know, like $4 or $5, right? You can say, well, what I saw a lot of comments, $4 to $5 roughly on a 4,000. How dare she? No. Oh, and by the way, this person that put the screenshot, put, si no puedes comer, which is basically if you can't go out and eat, si no puedes comer en la calle, no salgas a comer or something like that. It's like, no, clearly the person can go out and eat. They paid. And by the way, if someone that was open to screenshotting someone's receipt, and I want to say it had a private information, maybe, I don't remember, clearly it might not be the best server with that sassy ass attitude. You know what I mean? So we don't know if that person even gave good service, but there she is screenshotting, and it's like, if you can't go out to eat, no, screw you. If you're that mentality, I don't give a fuck if this video gets 1 million fucking dislikes. If you have that mentality, like, before you even deliver a great service, not good, great service, and you're already saying, and you're on the freaking train of, no, or like this other YouTuber that, oh, if you can't afford steak, fuck you. Straight up. I don't care. That's why I said this channel is about my thoughts on the open. You can disagree and tell me to fuck off as well in the comment section. I invite it. But straight up, that mentality has to change, which is what I'll close the video out with, by the way. The mentality has to change of the tip, and it's everywhere. Tip, which I am happy to give. But the moment, like Postmates, by the way, that's another one. They do tricky things. Lyft, which I take often, will pop up the moment you get off the car, by the way. God, it's so good at it. The moment the driver says that they dropped you off, bling, you get a notification. You open your phone if you have it on, which most people do. And there's like the first thing, it's like the picture of the person, right? Which is always like a nice person. Like always like that always make it. I feel like it's all a, here we go with conspiracies. It's like a little trauma to get you like tip. Because always a person's like, like a little circle, and you're like, oh, I'm an asshole now. So it's like no tip, 15, 10, 20, and increases. Or other, right? If you want to leave more. And I have left other, by the way. I've gone to like $10, $20 for a trip where I'm already paying $15. But hey, I had a great conversation. The guy's like, maybe he's just bullshitting me, but I don't care. There's an old man that said, you're the best trip I've had since I started driving. I was like, aw. Thanks, Santa Claus looking dude. So nice. $20 for you. You know, it was nice. And I left 20. I did. I left $20 and 5 stars, and all the other options you have on Lyft, like fun conversation, clean car. Not true, by the way. But hey, clean car. Who am I to judge? I have 5 kids. You should see my car. Clean car, fun conversation, and everything else. But Postmates, by the way, before I close this out, they're tricky. Maybe my Postmate app. I don't know if anybody's gonna be like, not mine, because I'm special. It's different. It has when they deliver your shit. I'm only laughing not because I'm laughing at my jokes. My wife's laughing over there. I want everybody's like, look at the losers laughing at his jokes. But I do laugh at my jokes. They on the app, they show you like, okay, food's been delivered. How was it? And you know, and there's like tip, and you're like, there's no options like Lyft. It's just like a number, and it's just like the little thing is just like, you know, like the little cursor is just like put a number, and you're like, I don't want to put a number. Like this was horrible. Like that one Rubio thing we had where it was late, it was cold. Like I said, please bring me salsa. No salsas. In fact, they didn't put salsa at anything. It's like, oh, you want salsa? You don't get no salsa. And I know that's not the fault of the driver, but still, right? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna leave a tip. Like I was pretty upset. It was cold. It was Rubio's food, not a salad, by the way, or my wife was. But I don't fucking eat salads. It was like one of those like California bowls, and it was cold like a salad. I was like, no, I'm not. Right? Yes. Anybody can argue. Well, maybe not the driver's fault. Sure. I don't know if he was blasting his fucking AC. You don't know either. No tip. No. I said no. And what happened? I was confused because I was like, one of the first times I used it, I couldn't put, I'm like, I don't want to skip. And there's no skip button. It's like grayed out. So you're like, no, you're not forced. So later on, a buddy of mine at work is like, oh, you just put 0. Yeah. What the fudge? Yeah. I was like, yeah, now you're like, I got to type in, type in zeros. So now you're typing the zeros and you're like, fuck, that looks ugly. You know, so now they fuck with you. You're like, fine, delete. Fuck, fine. 5, fucking, then 0, 0. Like, fine, there. Right? So anyways, you're being bullied. It's just like, hey, and then whatever. So anyways, those were my thoughts on this whole tipping thing. I keep saying I'm gonna close the show out, but I keep seeing my bullet points. I got more exciting with my wife here, but which now I'm all. You should see me before the show, by the way. I was like, hello, we're gonna talk about tips today. It was so fucking boring. You guys should thank her for her like getting me all like this. So the last point for real. So this time the last point. When do I tip? Yes, I'm not that much of a fucking cheapskate. I just said I do tip, right? Cheapskate or cheap steak? I think I'm hungry. Is it cheapskate? Yeah. It's cheapskate. I'm hungry. It's cheese. Fuck, I'm really hungry now. I do tip. So here's my tip. And I know this is manipulative, by the way. I admit it. I'm a regular at a place called Sushi 2. If you Google me, they follow me. Okay? I'm famous there at Sushi 2. Sushi 2. At Sushi 2, I'm famous. There's 3 waiters that know me very well. Not because I always go there and drink a beer once in a while, but because I go there sometimes. And I tip them. You know, I'll order my usual, I have like the chicken special. And it's like $7. And I always round to like 13, 14. I've rounded to 15. But what do I get in return? Yes, I know it's manipulative. I said, yeah, I know. They will bring me like way more chicken than I know I should get. You know, and they're super nice. And they can't get away with it either. It's not like them. I know it's the owner in the back or someone because I'm not lying. They follow me like specifically. But because I'm always promoting them, right? So it's like a give, right? But I'm always like saying I'm at Sushi 2, taking pictures of their food, promoting it to like my 2 followers, which is my wife and my mom. You know, so they know like, hey, this guy is consistently coming, bringing his business. I and my other friend, which until he gives me permission, I'll leave him unnamed, but he's German. We drag people from work there, right? We bring business. So I get it in that perspective where they're like, hey, they come here and they know I tip. They have to see it, right? So hey, once in a while they're like, hey JT, because even yes they know my name. Yes, they call me JT. Hey, you want this miso soup? I'm like, I know you didn't just like find it on a fucking table. You brought it for me. Thank you. Yes, I'm gonna eat it. You know, and they do it to my buddy too. So they'll top us off too. Like if we have a beer that day, they'll like, oh here, top us off. Like, and it's like you look at the receipt, it's still like the $4 or $5 for the one beer. So yeah, I'll leave them five. So in that case, I'll tip. The Santa Claus looking fella that complimented me, I'm gonna tip. Yes, there's a trend. I know you're seeing it now. It's like, oh, so they have to kiss your ass. That's great service, right? Not just good, great. Well, they're like trying to make my day. Isn't that the definition of gratuity? Like in the sense of being grateful for some, you know what I mean, for something that make you feel grateful for. Anyways, that's when I tip, or when I feel like it's more personal, right? Like there's a bartender there that knows us. I can say his name, Steve. He's also actually pretty well known. He has a really big following on Instagram. We have a connection, right? He used to do something similar I used to do in the past. We connect, on a more personal level. So, sometimes I'll slip him a 5 or a 10, right? Here you go, bro. Just for you. There's another server. Her name is Lila or Layla, something like that. That wanted one time to compete for like the good employee of the year or month. My friend and I both like tagged her on the Sushi 2 because we know Sushi 2 follows us, and we left her a nice little tip, right, of like $10 each. We made her hour, $20 an hour. We were there for probably less than an hour, but still, that's my point. Those are the two occasions that I'll tip. Fantastic service, great service, and when it's more personal, right? And even that guy from that channel that I said earlier even said the same thing, right? But anyways, that's it. Now I'm done for sure. I'm done ranting. I'm done. You're done too. Follow me, or you don't have to. If you want to tip me because it was a great video, you can give it a like, ring the notification bell, or don't because you don't have to. That's it. See ya. Hello? 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 Hey. Hello, hello. Hello? 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 Hello?
Hey.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, can you
Yeah?
hear me? Oh, there you are. I couldn't hear you.
What?
Sorry, couldn't hear you.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?